Hello, my name is Carrie Rivera, and I have some really good news to share with you today. Today, I am joined by a mother who now seems like a very good friend of mine because we've worked so long together, and her son has recovered on the CD protocol. And I'm not going to mention names, we're not mentioning places, but welcome and thank you for being willing to share your story about your son's recovery, and congratulations.
Thank you so much, Carrie. I'm so happy to be here with you today. I remember when I first started reading your book, and I was reading through all of the testimonials of people who had healed their kids, and I remember just saying to myself, that is going to be us one of these days. One of these days, I'm going to be one of those testimonials that healed, one of these people that healed their kids, and here we are.
Ah, it's so exciting. Okay,
So
so there's a lot of
exciting.
questions that people always want to know. So they want to
Okay.
know, how long did this take?
Okay, now so the funny thing, so for us, it took a little bit longer, I think, than maybe most people, but I also think it was because, my son was, so toxic. And I don't think, I think as a mom, sometimes when you're going through everything, I think denial can be a really powerful thing. And I don't think I realized just how toxic his body had gotten. So when we first started, I was like, oh, we'll do a diet, we'll do some CD and we'll be fine, right? Well, as we progressed, we realized that we needed to kind of add more things. So the full, I think, time that we went through the protocol, I think it was about 3 years.
Okay, and how old was
Um,
he when you started the protocol with him?
so when we started the protocol, it would have been back in 2015. So he was 3.
It was
And at that point, we had gotten the autism diagnosis. His starting ATAC was 104. So he was not talking. He was, he'd have these tantrums, and we wouldn't know what would set him off and what would happen. And he wasn't responding to his name. He wasn't, and this was kind of after, 11 rounds of antibiotics, that completely, what I know now, like destroyed his gut because he had constant ear infections. And, that I think was triggered by food allergies. And then after he had the MMR, it's like the lights just went out. And so um, I met you through another lady who had used your protocol to heal her son. And so that's a lot of the reason why I'm here today, is because I think meeting somebody who had healed her child through your protocol gave me so much hope, because I just kept saying, if she was able to do it, so can I. Like, this is possible. It just takes time. It takes a lot of energy. It takes effort, and it takes the willingness to do the work. So, we started 2015, and we just started with diet and CD. Um, and I remember, talking to my husband about it at first, and he's like, well, this must be like some multi-level marketing or something. And I'm like, no, I don't think it is. It's really just diet. So we just started with the diet. And I remember my son at the time would literally do laps in his crib for like an hour before just, then you just like fall asleep in like exhaustion, if he would sleep through the night, which he wasn't at that point. And I remember just when we changed his diet, he stopped doing the laps. He stopped, he started sleeping. And so my husband was like, oh, okay, there's something to this. Like, the fact that he's not running around in his crib, like, this is amazing. But okay, like, so he was on board. So just doing the diet and the CD for 4 months, we got his ATEC down to 74.
wow, nice.
Which I think is really
Huge.
good, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's huge. And then, so that would have been the spring of 2016. And so remember, at that point, we had healed him enough so that he was able to go to school. So he was in a regular school, a public school, but he had to have an aide with him, the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember they invited us in for like an observation. And he was still, he couldn't sit down on the carpet. He wasn't kind of like, he wasn't at the point where his peers were. He would sit up and, sit down, stand up, sit down, stand up. Sometimes he'd, talk out, and he wasn't there. And I remember, later that month, they had an assembly with the rest of his grade, you know, or the rest of the kids in his class. And there are all the kids, you know, singing and dancing and doing their thing. And there's my son off in the corner, kind of staring off into space. And that's when I was like, okay, what else do I need to do? Like this, he's not living his best life. And he has so much more possibility. So that's when I think we started doing, from there, I think we did the parasite protocol. You know, we were doing with mebendazole and albendazole. And, you know, we started seeing a lot of progress from there. I think once we did that, we got his ATEC down to 44, which, you know, again, it's just, I feel like you know, he was this beautiful, amazing boy, and the lights got turned off. And now with your protocol, like we're slowly peeling back the layers. And, you know, I'm you know, slowly getting my son back, which has just been amazing. And so we did keto, which I think really helps, you know, adding in a lot of fats, good fats, you know, the MCT, the bone broth, avocado. And I think with Jack, the protocol process has been a little bit tricky too, just because he's also really texture sensitive, and he's really sensitive to like smells and things like that. So like I remember when we first were adding in like GABA and the DMG and I think things like that, it was hard to get him to take certain things because he didn't like the taste. So that's always been really challenging. But, you know, we just kind of kept on it. And now he, you know, we slowly are doing amazing. And so we just took his ATEC last night and he's at a 6. He's at a 6 from 104. He's at a 6.
And no, just for the people that are watching, if they don't know, between 0 and 10 would be considered recovered. And I think any one of us taking the ATEC for ourselves, we would definitely get a few points anyhow. So somewhere between 0 and 10, most of us live our lives perfectly happily. Right. And I know you've been sharing some things about him. And of course, now he's doing some really cool, cute, normal, neurotypical things.
I mean,
everything.
You know, so they just had an assembly last month at his school. And so, you know, I remember seeing him at that first assembly and just being heartbroken and watching him. And we just had his assembly for his school. And he was up there singing with the rest of the kids, doing the dancing. And there was one part where, you know, all the kids are kind of lined up on stage. 5 kids step forward and they do a song and a dance in Swahili. And he was one of those kids that stepped forward and did, you know, and he was just right on cue. He knew every line. He was smiling. He was so happy. Like, I was just in tears again, but this time because I was so happy because now he's living his best life. Like, that I got my son back. Like, he's so happy. Like, whereas before, you know, I would go to wake him up in the morning and I don't know what I was walking into. I couldn't take him to the playground because I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if he was just going to start screaming or, you know, hit a kid. Like, he was so riddled with toxins.
Yeah.
And I knew, like, that wasn't my son. So just to have my son, I feel like I have my son back. I feel like this protocol was able to rescue him from this, you know, abyss of toxicity that we find ourselves in. So I can never thank you enough for this protocol for all that you do.
That's not the reason for the interview, but I mean, you can tell a story for your child, and like you say, we reach out for other parents to save themselves, and it's really unfortunate that we're in 2019 now. The protocol's under attack like never before, and I'm quite certain it's because of some of the things like Dr. Seneff has shown us that chlorine dioxide destroys glyphosate, humic fulvic destroys glyphosate. So now we're healing even beyond, and maybe they don't want us to heal beyond. You know, of course, if they're making vaccines mandatory and they're making chlorine dioxide out to be, you know, the bad thing, then obviously we're in an upside down world, especially because you definitely cannot heal somebody with toxins as you can in the case of autism. You obviously have to bring the toxicity down. Now, if you were to give advice to a parent, like somebody's listening to you, you're out there now listening to you, you know, somebody else. What advice would you want to give somebody right now?
Don't give up. Just that it's really hard some days, and some days you kind of feel like giving up. But if I can do this, I know other parents can. And the light that happens at the end of the tunnel after you've healed your child is the best feeling, because you have your life back and your child, can live their best life. I think these kids with autism are some of our most precious humans that we have on this earth, because their minds see things differently. They see the world differently. And once you are able to peel back those layers of toxicity, you are left with an amazing human being. But you have to be able to peel back those layers. Otherwise, you have these behaviors that are, they're so difficult on on an entire family, like on the parents. It's a struggle, like, with marriages, with, siblings, with everything, because you just never know what type of behavior is going to come up and how to control it. So just do the work and just know that, you have people behind you that are cheering for you, and that this protocol, I think, is just that path. It's just the way to find that light, to find that, your child, to find that person that is still in there, that has just been covered up by the toxins that are in our society these days.
And a lot of people will ask you also now, are you still doing the protocol? Is he still on the diet? Have you released any of those parts yet, or not yet?
So not yet. So we're still, we still do CD every day, and we're still, he just got strep throat not too long ago. And so instead of putting him in antibiotics, I did use the CD to help heal that. We're still doing the fulvic acid. We do the Robenzine. I do the foot baths have been amazing, especially, we have seasonal allergies right now, and just those foot baths. I mean, we all use it. So it's, that's been wonderful. So yeah, we're still doing, we're still kind of on that path.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're getting towards the finish line. So I'm so excited.
Well, I'm really excited for you, and it's been a pleasure working with you and your family, and I'm so grateful that you took the time just to share, even just the few minutes that we chatted. I think that some parent that's out there looking, well, if my videos can stay up long enough on the internet,
I know, hopefully.
that this message will get out. We'll put it on a lot of places so it won't get taken down anywhere, because I think it's an important message that only a parent of a child who now has an ATEC score of a 6 and who went from nonverbal to a really high, I mean, his ATEC score 104 is a relatively high. Yeah, he was gone, and now he's completely indistinguishable from the other children in his class, and he's in a neurotypical class in a neurotypical school, just leading the. So I'm really grateful that you gave me your time today, and I think that this is going to be an important video for somebody out there, somebody who needs it. And of course, with the autism conferences in the springtime, which is now springtime 2019, more people are out there searching for information. And so, of course, Autism Recovery, they will be able to find this video. And I really appreciate you sharing that with me. And it's been a joy to work with you and your family. And you've done the hard work, like you said. And you're always a radiant smile and a really positive lady to have in my life. So thank you for that and sharing that path with me.
Thank you so much, Carrie. Just having my son back and having a happy child it was worth it all.
I'm so happy for you all. Congratulations, and thank you for giving me your time today.
Thank you so much, Carrie. Appreciate it.
See you soon. Okay. Take care.
Bye. Bye-bye.